Hey everybody, my name's Tony Avina and I want to help you learn how to design t-shirts. Today we'll be starting our design in Adobe Illustrator and finishing it up in Adobe Photoshop. This will be a design that I upload to Merch by Amazon. So let's start with Create New. You can go up here, File, New, and we're going to make this pixels. So change your units to pixels, 1080 pixels by 1296 pixels, RGB color mode, and click Create. First thing I want to do here is drag some guides. So I need to go to View, Rulers, and then just click Show Rulers. Then you need to come over here to this left ruler, drag one out. Doesn't really matter where you drag it out because we're going to end up resizing this design probably. So I put one at the 100, then I put one right here at this 1000. Go to my type tool. The typeface we'll be using is Ultra Regular, which I will link in the description below. You can also grab it from Google Fonts. So I type out the word sunny. Go to my selection tool. We'll make this 72 points so it's a little easier to see and grab. I'm just going to align this to this left guide and click and drag the corner while holding down Shift. If I don't hold down Shift, it's going to distort my type. So I hold down Shift and it keeps it perfectly proportioned. Okay, and then once I have that one written out, I'm going to use my selection tool, click and drag, hold down Option and Shift, and the Option is going to duplicate the text, and the Shift is just going to keep it aligned. I'm going to change this one here to say summer. Grab my selection tool again. Click and drag from this corner, hold down Shift while I'm resizing, and align it to that guide. And actually both of these, I can do a better job of aligning to this guide. Same thing, go to my selection tool, click on this, drag, hold down Option and Shift. We'll change this one to say all caps, vibes. Make sure I'm aligned to this left guide, bottom corner here. Click, drag, hold down Shift. Okay, now I have all my text written out, and what I need to do next is just kind of space these out about like this. Now I can get rid of my guides. I can go View, Guides, Clear Guides. Then I want to align this to, actually I won't align it till later. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do here is with my selection tool, just click and drag, and then you can select everything like this. Window, Appearance, and go to your Appearance palette. Click on the new Add New Fill. We're going to make this fill white. So you just click right here on this little down arrow next to the swatch. Change it to white. The stroke, I'm going to click over here on the side and drag it so it's beneath the fill. I'm going to change that to black. I'll make it let's see, 10 points looks about good to me. So you just click this up arrow, or you can type in 10 right here. Now with everything selected, I'm going to click and drag, hold down Option, and then I'm just going to move it up about like this. Just eyeball it. Then I'm going to go back to my appearance, change this fill to black. Then go to Object, Arrange, send to back, and this shows you on the side the keyboard shortcuts for all of those things. So this one would be Shift, Command, left bracket, and that'll just send it to the back. So what you want to do now is make a blend. So instead of this looking like just a drop shadow, it basically gives it a little bit of a extruded look. So I can go to Object, Blend, Blend Options. We're going to go with Specified Steps, and it should, I think, default to smooth color. We're going to go Specified Steps, and we're going to make this 30 steps. So what that's going to do, it's going to blend these two by making copies from front to back, and it'll basically make 30 copies. So now I'm going to start here at the bottom. Click, you want to get your selection tool, click and drag from below the word vibes. If you're too close, it's going to select it. You can see that it wants to select it, so I'm just going to move down, click and drag, so I have both of those selected. Object, blend, make. I'm going to click and drag from the side here to grab summer. Object, blend, make. Same thing here. Object, blend, make. And now you'll see these are stacked on top of each other. So what I want to do is I'll just select each one. Object, select summer, go to Object, Arrange, bring to front. Same thing with sunny. Object, Arrange, bring to front. And now everything's just fine. I can move these. I can reposition these if I want, based on how I think that it looks, but I think that looks fine. So now we're done with the Illustrator portion. All we need to do now is save this, or if you wanted, you can select everything here, group, object, group, go to your alignment window. Let's see, alignment palette here. Make sure Show Options is clicked, align to Artboard, and then click this horizontal align center, and that'll center it on your artboard that way. And you could center it the other way too, but since we're using this for merch by Amazon, it doesn't matter. It needs to be towards the top anyways. Okay, so now I'm going to go File, Export, Export As. I'm going to save this as a Photoshop file. Make sure that I select Use Artboards. And what that's going to do is export this entire artboard. If I didn't select that, it would just select basically about this area right here, right to the edges of your graphic. Okay, we'll name this Sunny Summer Vibes. Hit export, RGB 300, click OK, and then we will open this in Photoshop. Now we have our file open in Photoshop, and I realized in the last step I didn't tell you that we want to make sure that our anti-aliasing is set to none. What happens here is if you have it set to none, then you get hard edges on all of your shapes, and that makes it easier to select for this step. So first thing you want to do is get your magic wand tool. Make sure that it's set with anti-alias off. And for now we're going to have it with contiguous off, and what that will do is if I click on something white, it will select everything that's white. Or if I select any color, whatever color you select, it'll select all of the same color on the page. If I have contiguous checked, then it will only select the individual shape that you clicked on. Okay, so here I'm going to use my magic wand tool. Contiguous off, anti-alias off, sample all layers is also off. I'm going to click on any of these anything white. Then I'm just going to create a new layer here. Well, actually, first thing I'm going to do is hit delete. Then I'm going to create a new layer, and I'll move that layer beneath the one I was just working on, and we'll call this text. I have my color slider set to hue, saturation, brightness. You can also use RGB or CMYK. And when you're using your color selector, you'll see here that sometimes you'll get this little arrow, this little exclamation point in a triangle, and that's just telling you that your color's not printable as you have it. So if I filled it with this purple color, this is what it looks one way on my screen, but the actual color that it prints is much different, a lot less saturated. So we want to be mindful of that when we're selecting our colors. So the color I'm going to start with here is 82 90 12. Make sure I have that in my front swatch. Go down to your text layer, edit, fill, foreground color, normal, opacity 100%, okay. Or I can hit option delete, and that will fill it with this front swatch here. Foreground swatch, this is foreground color, and that's background color. Okay, so now that I have that, I can deselect this. Click lock. See this? Lock transparency. And now that just means that I can't use any color anywhere except where there's already shapes. So now I'm going to set my color picker here, still in CMYK, to 100 magenta, 100 yellow. And what that's going to do is give me basically a perfect red for CMYK printing. I'm going to go to my gradient tool. Make sure that I have linear gradient selected, mode, normal. And depending on how comfortable you are with this tool, you can set the opacity in this step to whatever you want. If I set it to 100, it's going to fill this in at the furthest point where I start my line. It will fill it in with 100% of that color. So you can set this if you want to 50, 60. I'll set mine to 80. Start right here in the center, and then I want to hold down shift. What that's going to do is just give me a perfectly vertical line on my gradient. Then you just go until it looks about how you like it. This looks good for me. The vibes is perfectly red, and it starts to change up here, and it fades slowly into the purple. So now I'm going to make this orange, and I'm just going to make this 80 magenta, 100 yellow. And I'm going to do the same thing. I might want to move my opacity down to about 40 here. Let's get a slow build. Now I'm going to make this really yellow, so we're going to move the magenta down to about 30. Now I'm going to set my mode to screen, and I'm going to change my gradient from a linear gradient to a radial gradient. And those are all up here. So the second one is your radial gradient. I'm going to start right below this B. Hold down shift. And let's change our opacity to 70. And this is just making a gradient in the shape of a circle. So I can start small. I can get bigger. I could even drag it this opposite direction. What I might want to do here is show my whole artboard and make one from here all the way up. And that'll just feather it a little bit more. Okay, so now I'm going to make a new layer here. I'm going to get my elliptical marquee tool. Start right below the B, hold down Option and Shift. That'll give me a perfect circle drawn right from the center of where I clicked. We'll get rid of all the magenta and move this yellow down to about 50. And oh yeah, there's one more thing we need to do here. If we're not working on this layer, I want to make sure only the inside part of the letters are selected. So I'm going to go Command Option Shift or Command Control Alt Shift on Windows and click on this text layer thumbnail. And now it's selected just that part. So now I can fill that in, edit, fill, and that will be my sun here. What I don't like, the way I've drawn it, is there's a little bit of a visual tangent where these two things are almost touching but not quite touching. So I can just go back and I can make my fill. I can also do it this way and move it. Then what I would want to do here is go here, hit Command, click, then Command Shift or Control Shift I, and then hit delete. Okay, now I think the text doesn't read super well, so the next thing we're going to do is command click on this thumbnail to select all the text. We're going to make a new layer here. Let's call this one Sun. We'll make a new layer above the sun layer. We'll call this one Inner Outline. We're going to push the D on our keyboard or click this little black and white icon here above these swatches on your toolbar on the left. And then we're going to need to click these arrow things here, and that'll switch them. Okay, so now I have that selected. I'm underneath my original layer with this black stuff here. I'm going to go Image or Edit, Stroke. Make sure I have it set for the center, and we'll make this about 15. Make sure our color's white, location center, blending mode normal, opacity 100%. Click OK. And that gives us a little outline on the inside that makes this a little more readable. Okay, so now I can call it a day and say this is done, or if you want, you can click on, hold down Control or Command or Control, click on this, go to this layer here, click on the icon, hold down Control or Command, click on the icon to select this black stuff. Then I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation. Make sure Preview's selected. I can go Colorize if I want. And just make this whatever color I'm feeling. Make it kind of a purplish color. I can take out all the saturation. And you got to be careful with this, because if you go too high on the saturation, you're going to end up with colors that aren't printable. That's the preview in CMYK, and this is what it looks like on my screen. So I'm just going to go something dark, not too much saturation, a little bit towards the purple. I'm going to grab my 100% magenta, 100% yellow, go back to my gradient tool, set to screen, and with this part selected, I can just add a little bit of a gradient there. If I want, I can add an outline, and one more outline here. Push Command or Control, click on this layer. I thumbnail to select everything. Go to my text one. Push Command or Control and Shift, and that adds to the selection. So now I have both selected. I can make a layer beneath everything. Make sure I have my white swatch in front for my foreground. Go to Edit, Stroke, go center again, and this time we'll make it 30. And then what that does is, if I'm going on a dark colored shirt, it just gives me one more level of readability. And if I'm on a light color shirt, it doesn't really matter, but it just adds that. So it gives you more of a chance to use a variety of colors on your final product. And that's it for this one. You can see here, if I go to image size, then it's 4500 by 5400, 300 pixels per inch resolution after we exported it, and that's the perfect size we need for Merch by Amazon. I can get rid of this. I can merge all these layers here, and then I can save this as a PNG and upload it. And that's it for this one. We'll see you on the next one. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, thumbs down. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Hit the notification bell so you can see everything that I upload. And see you on the next one, and keep on designing.